Hello, everyone. Welcome to Friendly Differences. Oh, not Friendly Differences. I'm sorry. That was last Saturday. Welcome to My Turn to Talk. I am Solid Blue Sister. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. Okay. Let's talk about violence today because there's a lot that's been going on in this country, in this world, that is very, very violent. And, it's to the point where what can we do as a country, as a world, as human beings to stop this? Okay. Violence can stop or suppress immediate threats, but it cannot fundamentally conquer or eradicate the root causes of evil. While force may halt a violent actor, it often fuels a cycle of retaliation, as highlighted by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., who noted that violence multiplies the very evil it seeks to destroy. Do you believe that? Is that something that is something that still holds true today? Now, Martin Luther King said that over 60 years ago. But here we are 60 some odd years later, still dealing with violence. We are still dealing with the, the tragedy of shootings, of murder, of people being beat in the streets and sometimes in their own homes. Can violence eradicate evil? Because evil produces violence. We have people who are just downright evil. We know who they are. We see them. They boast about it. They will tell you what they're going to do. We have people who have just openly killed people, masses of people. You look at something like World War II, the Holocaust. More than 6 million people were eradicated, killed, murdered. You look at the countless wars that we have had, century after century after century, decade after decade after decade, and sometimes year after year after year, just Wars that have gone on and on and on for years, and they've never stopped. Can violence eradicate evil? You know, you hear stories of women who um, they don't put up with their husband's domestic violence anymore. They take matters into their own hands. Next thing you know, the person who was the abuser is no longer living. You have children who have been abused by their parents, who take matters into their own hands, and their parents are no longer living. Does it have to get to that point? What can we do as human beings to stop the madness of evil? Or, because we're human beings, is evil ingrained in us? Is it something that we will always have to deal with? I mean, is evil just, is it just something that is just a human flaw? But is evil a flaw? Because that seems something very light. Oh, like, okay, you just have that flaw, you know. The dress looks okay, but it just has a little flaw because the hem is just slightly uneven. But then there are really good people. There are really good people in this world, people who really, 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 truly want to do good. So I come back to the question that I've always asked: are people born evil? When you hear about police officers that beat people just because, were they born evil? Or is evil a mindset? Is evil a mindset? Does that schoolyard bully finally stop being the schoolyard bully because somebody finally stood up to that schoolyard bully and knocked the crap out of him? Because all the talking and all the school detentions and talks with, the parents didn't help. What finally helped was getting the crap knocked out of them, and they stopped. Do countries that drop bombs on other countries just because they want to take over, because they want to conquer? Well, they finally stopped if they just had bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb dropped on them. Or does it just retaliate? Then they just go back and drop more bombs on the person that they had originally dropped bombs on. Why does America have so many shootings? Is it because of our laws? Or is it just because we just have evil people who, for whatever reason, decide that one day I'm going to go, into a school or a church or a movie theater or a mosque, whatever, to just eradicate people. And some of these people, they don't care if they die. They don't care because they would have made a point. They would have made a point. And unfortunately, that point that they were making left other people unalived. So again, I ask you, um, why are people evil, and will violence eradicate that evil? Is violence something that we need? Um, is violence something that we need to stop the evil? Is violence the only thing that evil understands? Should it be an eye for an eye? Should it be, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back? Or should we say, turn the other cheek, ignore them? Because I have found that when you ignore a bully, when you ignore someone who consistently hurts other people, they get emboldened because they think that they can get away with it. That if you don't say something and stand up, they will continue to do the same thing over and over and over. That schoolyard bully will continue to take your lunch. They'll continue to shove you. They will continue, to mock you and make fun of you. Countries that are stronger than others will always still try to push into another country to conquer it because they think they can. We have wars where people say, oh, this is all going to be over in a couple of months. But it wasn't. I don't think any war can be over in a couple of months because you have people who are going to fight and defend what they have. Don't assume anyone is just going to sit back and allow you to come in and conquer what they have, to take what they have without a fight. So you have to ask yourself, while we're going around invading countries and what have you, and, we're big and bad and we're this and that, have you ever thought that the same thing could happen to you? That movie theater that was shot up will one day be a nightclub where you're standing there, where that bullet may hit you or a friend standing next to you. It may be that mosque. It may be that concert. It may be that classroom, that shopping center. because we never think it's going to happen to us. I mean, shootings have gotten so hello Sonny, hello Caleb, welcome. And anyone who comes in and listens, listening and not making themselves known in the chat, welcome. You know, shootings have just come to the point where, and I even do it. You hear about a shooting and you just kind of another shooting and you go on about your day. That's how it's become to me in America. You hear about them, you may nod your head and you move on. Or do you sit back? For some people, do you sit back and you really think about it? Because shootings in this country, excuse me, shootings in this country, in America, are an epidemic. But it's that evil that's behind it. So do we go in with guns blaring and we shoot up and we shoot the shooter? That's happened many times. But the shooters keep coming. If a wife turns on her husband and kills him, is that going to stop another husband from abusing his wife day after day? No. They're going to keep doing it because they think they can get away with it. So what does evil understand? What does evil understand? Because honestly, I don't know. Looking for my cushy. What does evil understand? And again, I come back to do are people born evil? And are evil people always violent? I say yes. Because you have to be evil, some type of evil, to start a war because you want someone's land. You want someone's house. You have to be evil in some way to be that schoolyard bully. Now, before people say, oh, Solid, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. This is what I want to ask. I know that children have things that are going on at home that makes people lash out. I understand that. But is there still some type of evil there? Is that schoolyard bully looking at that kid who is weaker? Are they eyeing them every single day in the classroom or whatever, going, yeah, I know what I'm going to do to them today? That's calculation. So is that type of calculation evil? When your neighbor next door just won't stop messing with you, they take your parking space every single day, knowing that you paid for that space, but they're going to take it anyway. They're going to park their big, massive truck or whatever, or even if it's a little Honda, they're going to park there and dare you to say something. When you do, they're just like, whatever. Or that neighbor who parks in your driveway or blocks your driveway. Puts their trash in your trash can every single week. That's calculation. Is it evil? Am I pushing it and stretching it? Excuse me, stretching it too much to call that evil? I mean, really, is it evil? I mean, evil comes in so many colors and shapes and sizes in so many different ways. Evil is that older brother or sister who constantly feels that they have power over you because they're older, or that younger brother or sister who's the golden child, and they start to take advantage of every single thing where they just don't care anymore. Is that evil? And then when people cross the line into physically touching you, physically harming you, it becomes violent. And then do you retaliate with violence? If your siblings, hit you every single day and they think it's funny, will they finally stop when you turn around and knock the crap out of them? Will they stop? I mean, let's look back in history. Let's look at Nat Turner. As a slave, he was sick and tired of the abuse, the torture, the humiliation. So he and his friends, fellow slaves, killed at least 29 white people, men, women, children. He was caught. He was killed. And all of a sudden white people were like, "Oh my god, every black person, every slave, we got to really watch them because they're violent." But where did the violence come from? Where did the violence start? Who started this violence? It wasn't the slaves. Let's look at the civil rights, the lynchings, the cross burnings. Firemen who would get called out to a down south. Firemen who would get called out to fires to put out a fire, that was started by a white person, and the firemen would stand there and laugh, sometimes listening to people being burned alive. But yet we had those peaceful marches, but they had water hoses turned on them, dogs turned on them. But when marches turn violent, all of a sudden it's like, oh, those thugs, those evil people. Because you're hurting them. You're hurting them. So, does violence suppress evil? Does violence suppress stopping people who want to commit violence against someone, something, an animal? Growing up, my mom had a friend who was she was in a domestic violence situation with her husband. Really nice lady, really nice lady. Um, really, really nice lady. I really, really liked her. Um, her husband used to beat the crap out of her. She was a teacher, and she would go to school with makeup covering the bruises that weren't under clothes. And they had two Dobermans. And she also had a son. And that son watched what his father did to his mother. And when he got older, he did that to his wife and partners that he had. But I don't want to talk about the son. I want to talk about the dogs. So I'm a dog lover. I have three. Love them. If I had a ranch or a farm, whatever, I would have many, many more. I believe in adopting dogs, not buying them, adopting them. So these two dogs were kept in their basement with the lights out because her husband wanted to make them tough, to make them mean. And he would abuse his dogs. Well, one day, after years, the dogs were like, screw this. And they attacked her husband, viciously attacked him. Didn't mess with her, but him. Of course, they wanted to come and get the dogs and take them and uh, destroy them. But my mom's friend said no. Those dogs were defending themselves. And for some reason, that situation, again, I was little. I mean, not so little, but when that happened, I was maybe like 12, 11, 12. But for some reason, that situation made her really look at her situation and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. She took over the care of those dogs. Her husband never laid a hand on those dogs again. So does violence is violence a lesson for evil? Well, how much violence do you have to have? Because there's a lot of violence that is out there. I'm sorry, there's a lot of evil that is out there. There's a lot of violence that is out there. But do we suppress evil with violence? Because turning the other cheek, peaceful marches, kumbaya, that doesn't seem to work. You know, it just it just doesn't seem to work because people don't care. They laugh at you. The schoolyard bully laughs when he pushes somebody into the dirt. They laugh when they're taking your lunch. They laugh when they're taking your money. If someone broke into your house and they're running out with your TV set, and before they get to the door, they hear a gun, you know, you know, are they going to keep running or are they going to risk being shot in the house you broke into because the homeowner is saying, no more. You're not doing this, not in my house. Let's say the homeowner does shoot the perpetrator, the person who broke in. Will that be a lesson to anyone else to not break in to anyone else's house? Or is that just a lesson, don't break into that person's house? What do you do? What do you do? You think you're going to break into little old, Grandma Jones who lives down the street and she's, this widow who's been living by herself for the past 20 years and you think you're just going to break into her house because she's old? But she's ready right there with a baseball bat and she swings and she makes contact with your head or she breaks a bone and you're crawling to the door, but you don't get to the door fast enough and she hits you again and hits you again. Then she calls 911. Was she in the wrong? People say, well, she didn't have to do overkill. She didn't have to hit him so much. Well, he didn't have to break into her house. That woman on the street that you tried to assault, and she turns around and assaults you. Do you learn your lesson? Do you learn your lesson? Or do you need to continually get beat downs until maybe one day you will stop maybe just again, maybe one day you will stop. And get some sense and stop being violent. Do we all have the potential to be evil? Yes, we do. We all have the potential to be evil because we're human. But how many people really act out on the things that they say? How many people really go and, You may think that, ow, I just want to kill him. But how many people actually do it? How many people are sitting in their bedroom or in their garage or whatever, literally plotting out to harm someone, openly saying, this is what I'm going to do to you? The people in Washington or wherever in the world you are, in Russia, China, Iraq, Iran, wherever, the UK, and you are plotting a war. How many troops are we going to need? Where should we strike? Where should we drop that bomb? Are those people evil? When the atomic bomb was made and dropped on Hiroshima, or Hiroshima, however you want to pronounce it, was that pure evil? Because Japan is still dealing with the effects of that atomic bomb 80 years later. They're still dealing with it. People who miraculously survived, their descendants are still dealing with the effects of that bomb. Was that evil? Did you have to do all that to stop a war? Did you have to go to that extent? Um, I say no. But then again, you had Japanese people who would fly their plane directly into a battleship for their country. Me, I'm not trying to take a plane and give up my life like that. No, I'm not doing that. But you have people who do that. You have people who are radicalized to, you know, kill themselves for the cause. I do not think that people who fight in wars, the foot soldiers, I don't think they're evil. I think they're put into a situation that people in power put them in. Because, see, you don't see these people in power sending their sons and daughters, mothers, fathers to war. You don't see them going to war. And you come back dead, and all your family gets is a flag. And thank you for your service. I may get people, veterans who, come after me for that remark that I just made. But when you give up your life for someone else's decision, when people say, they fought in this world so that you can be free. Are we really? Because why do we keep fighting in these wars? When is this freedom going to happen? Because for a lot of people, for certain demographics, that freedom has never come. Not the way it should. So, how long are we going to deal with evil? And do you know evil when you see it? Can you look at people and say, that's an evil person? You know, when you're with your friends and you have that one person in the group who, you know, if you guys went out to eat or something, they think it's funny to make fun of the waiter or give the waiter a hard time. Or wherever you go, you're always doing something that's just not nice. Is that evil? Or is that someone just being a bully? Or come on, they're just having fun. But what would happen if someone that they were doing this to turned around and slapped the crap out of them? What if it was an eye for an eye? You want to treat me like that? Okay. And then someone else starts to treat you like that and you don't like it. Is violence something that is needed? Because some people just don't get it. They just don't understand. We are not going to behave like this. We are not going. We are not going to continue to allow this. So again, I ask, does violence suppress evil? Or is it just something that we have to deal with? I don't know. I don't know. Life is hard. Life is so very, very hard. And have to constantly deal with people who do things to you, you know, just because it's funny, because I want power, because I want to dominate, because I want what you have. Do you stop them with violence? Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to slap that schoolyard bully. Sometimes you have to slap your sibling upside the head to get them to stop messing with you. Sometimes that wife or child has to do something drastic to stop the abuse. or that elderly parent has to do something against their children to stop the abuse. Sometimes you have to do something against your neighbor because your neighbor just doesn't seem to stop. And sometimes those neighbors, they escalate. You know, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? We, as a nation, as a world, cannot continue to let evil dominate our lives. And it seems like more and more it is because of people who are in charge, because of, you have people who are supposed to help you and they don't. But then again, I come back to saying we are human. We are human. And humans have flaws. Humans are evil. Humans are violent. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? Is violence the answer? Is it Christ like? And you have more Christians out there who are some of the most violent people. But that was another show. You know, you know, we have people who use violence as a transformative approach. You know, they use it. And that's something that uh, Martin Luther King did. He used um, you know they argue that um, you have the philosophies of nonviolence, and spiritual traditions that argue that true evil is a condition of the mind and heart, like hatred and greed and ignorance, and they feel that physical force cannot kill a hateful ideology, and establish a moral truth. Instead they want to look at systemic injustice, or um, conquered through compassion and justice and restorative action. But those are just laws. Those are just words. You have a lot of words out there that um, what do I want to say? you have a lot of words out there that people use, but people don't care about. You can talk about injustice and, you know, we have to uh, look look at the laws. The law says we're not supposed to do this. The law says we're not supposed to kill. Laws say that we're not supposed to murder people, but we still do it. You have the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. People still do it. And do people get tired of hearing the nonviolent approach? You know, is evil a condition of the mind? Is hatred and greed a condition of the mind? And is it true that physical force cannot kill a hateful ideology? You know, and then you have the cycle of retaliation because some people feel that violence inflicts trauma and breeds resentment. You know, wanting it to defeat evil creates a new cycle of conflict. Does more violence bring on more violence? Or is it possible to stop? Why are there ceasefires in wars? Why does a war have a ceasefire? Is it because the other side can't take it anymore? Too many of their people have been killed. Too many of their towns have been destroyed. Too many people have been left homeless. So finally they say, okay, enough is enough. Stop, please. Ceasefire. We'll do what you want to do. Is that what happens? But then the person who won the ceasefire, they feel emboldened. Now we conquered them. Now we can go cross the border over here and we're going to do the same thing to them. I'm just going to say one last thing. Very last episode of Little House on the Prairie. If anybody remembers Little House on the Prairie, I grew up on that show. You had an outside faction who wanted to come into Walnut Grove and take it over. They wanted to take over the town. And the town retaliated when these people came back. The main person who came back, he thought that he was going to get a general store, homes, a mill, you know, that produce wood and lumber, a lumber mill. They thought they were going to get all this stuff. But the people of Walnut Grove, they blew up everything. That's how the last show of the series ended. They blew up everything in Walnut Grove. The homes, the lumber mill, the general store, everything. The only thing that was left standing was the church / schoolhouse. And when they came riding into town and they saw what happened, Someone from another neighboring town said, if you try to do this to our town, this is the same thing that is going to happen. This is what you're going to see. If anyone destroys our town, it's going to be us. So yeah, the people of Walnut Grove, they had to move and they had to, go off into the sunset. But is that what has to happen? That you have to show people, if you do this to us, there's going to be someone over in the next town, the next state, the next country, whatever, who is going to stop you. If that schoolyard bully keeps doing what they're doing, our other schoolyard bully is going to know, this is what happened to him. This is what happened to her. This is what's going to happen to you if you choose to do the same thing. What do you do? So everyone, on that note, my hour is up. Thank you all. And again, for people who come in and listen on the replay, I do ask you, please like, subscribe, and comment. Please comment. I would love to get comments. I know people come in and they listen, but comment. If you like what I'm saying, if you don't like what I'm saying, you disagree with me, I'm fine. I am fine with people disagreeing with me. People disagree. They have their own opinions. That's fine. That's what the world is. But I hope to see you on Saturday, where we will have the Friendly Differences podcast on the YouTube channel, Friendly Differences podcast, with my co-host, Dread Empath. And she will be here. And our topic is going to be about, some people may not like this topic, but it's going to be disability and sexual urges, a parent's responsibility. That is our topic for Friendly Differences. So also, if you need to contact me, you can reach me at solidbluesister@gmail.com, solidbluesister@gmail.com. And coming soon to the YouTube channel is the House of Dread. House of Dread on the YouTube channel with your host, the one and only Dread Empath, the House of Dread. So until then, everyone, this is Solid Blue Sister. I am Solid Blue Sister. This is my turn to talk on the YouTube channel. And until next time, and as always, peace.